Welcome, Audrey.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us here today. I think we should start by starting with where Mistral AI is today. A couple of weeks ago, we heard the news that you were joining hands, or that you were getting support from the Dutch microchips giant ASML, a big player in the European tech scene. And ASML announced, together with Mistral, that it is investing 1.3 billion in a funding round totaling 1.7, and is becoming your largest shareholder. When we look at this and we think about competitiveness in Europe, the first thing that obviously jumps to mind is you're choosing a European investor here over other types of investors. Surely there were other VCs interested. There was even a rumor that Apple was interested in investing in Mistral. If that's true, you can say on stage. My question is, why choose European support over foreign investment?
I think the question is more why ASML chooses. And we are very, very fortunate to have such an important and key partner. I think what is interesting about this new funding round and this partnership with ASML is that it started with a commercial discussion. It started with a company that understood that AI can change a lot of things for enterprise and for industry. And this is one of the companies that has the most complex issue in the world. And the fact that enterprise in Europe understand that AI can help them change their processes, can them improve their productivity, fix some of their very difficult problems, is something that we absolutely need to increase AI in Europe adoption, but also global competitiveness in Europe. And from this commercial use case discussion was created a feeling that it could be more than that, and they saw us as a good partner to work on AI, and we are very pleased with that. I think what they saw in Mistral is that we are looking at AI differently from our competitors, because what we are trying to do is actually to solve technological problem and to increase AI technological progress. And I think that very concrete approach was interesting for them.
Are you closing the door on sort of the more consumer-focused AI with this deal?
We're not closing the door. We have always been looking at very B2B activities. We launched Le Chat very early on in February 2024, but it was more a way to tell the world what AI can do, because we believe that this technology needs to be transparent, needs to be accessible, so you need to be able to showcase what the technology can do to the broad public. We're not closing the door to B2C activities. The Le Chat is improving, and I encourage you to test Le Chat. But what we are seeing is that in this industry that is highly competitive, it's also important to look at what creates values and what creates value for actually the private sector and also the public sector, by the way. And what creates value is to help enterprise transformation, to fix actual industrial problems. So that's why we are focusing on enterprise business so far. I think the specificity we always had was that we are building very customizable models, and we really are not providing off-the-shelf solution. We have always partnered with our customers to tailor what they really need, and that's why we believe that we can create value for them.
We're just a week away from the European Commission coming out with a new strategy document. It's called the Apply AI Strategy. That's expected next week. Early drafts that Politico saw show that a core problem here is the uptake of artificial intelligence across Europe's industrial base, its manufacturing base, etc. There's a figure that only 13% of companies in Europe currently use AI. I've got two questions. One is, what's holding them back? And secondly, with anything coming out of Brussels, the real question is, what can Brussels policymakers actually change here?
Yeah. I think there's different part there. I think obviously as every new technology, it takes time to adopt it. And the pace of AI is so fast compared to other technology we have witnessed. I mean, let's not forget, I mean, our company is 2 years old. GPT happened 4 years ago, so it's moving so fast that it's actually quite normal that it takes time for enterprise to trust the technology and to look at what they actually can do with it. That being said, we need collectively to look at the benefits that this technology will bring to the world, and the fact that the power of this technology is to increase significantly competitiveness. We are seeing US moving faster than we are. We are seeing China moving. So we definitely need all together to jump on the train, because it's not so much about what will happen for AI company. The question is how much going into this revolution will impact our global European competitiveness. About what we can do, I think the first thing to do is to demonstrate that this technology is bringing real value to enterprise and companies. That's what we're trying to do. We have amazing partners like ASML, but we are working, for example, with CMHGM, and we are already seeing the real value that this technology can bring. But there's also some we can help company jumping with more transparency. They need to know exactly what this technology is made of, how it works. We need to help them choose their providers. We need to provide them with greater infrastructure capacity, European one. So there's a lot of action, really simple action that we can take very fast to encourage European company to jump on the train and use AI.
Mm-hmm. If I can turn to another subject, one of the spaces where the artificial intelligence sector is incredibly competitive is in the battle for talent. It's in the brains, it's in the people behind the technology. There's, a whopping example of Meta offering a $250 million pay package over a 4-year period.
I'm sorry, we're not offering that to the people.
We're not offering that at Mistral just yet,
Not yet,
as I understand.
Not yet.
My question is, if you look at this, I wonder how Europe can really compete. Now, luckily, Donald Trump seems to help just a little, because just about 2 weeks ago, he announced that the H-1B visa scheme that the US uses widely in its tech sector is going to come with an additional cost of $100,000. To me, it feels like there's an opportunity there. I wonder if Mistral has looked at that opportunity, to what extent you think the time is now to attract talent to Europe.
I think attracting talent to Europe should be a priority for Europe. You need 3 ingredients to build AI. You need compute power, you need talent, and you need data. So we definitely need to attract talents. We already have a very strong pool of talent in Europe. The reason why we created this company in France was that because we had a very strong pool of talent in AI in France. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I think we're back.
Good. And so definitely we need to increase the ability to to foster education here, to increase public-private partnership. We need to be able to hire people just out of school, because we have very, very good schools in science, computer, and machine learning, etc. So we need to facilitate the ability for researchers to come in company, to do their work, to go back in research and academics. We need to work on the programs that can facilitate that. The second thing we need to do is obviously leveraging the struggle we can see in the US to attract people in Europe. So we need to facilitate the ability for us to get visa for those people. There's a very good thing in France that is a French Tech visa, and basically in 2 weeks you can have a visa for someone who wants to work in our company. This is something that should be extended. And we need to find incentivize for, I have a struggle with this word, I'm sorry, I will stop using it. But we need to find a way for those people to come back. There's so many French, European people working in American big tech in the US, there's an opportunity for us to bring them home.
How do you look at the coming years in that sense? Because it doesn't look like the instability in the US is going to change anytime soon.
I mean, I'm not commenting on what's happening in the US. I'm French, so I will not be the best place for that. But I think for us, there's two questions. There's obviously how we can offer them the ability to come back. But something interesting when you discuss with scientists is that what they want is the ability to do their research properly. So to attract the scientists, you need the proper compute power. Each scientist will be excited by a number of GPUs. So it's not just a question of visa or tax or this kind of things. It's what can you provide them to do their job properly and to increase the capacity of the models. So it's not just a question of paying them hundreds of euros, millions of euros, or facilitating visa. It's also creating the infrastructure, creating the environment and the ecosystem for them to succeed in the job.
And does Mistral feel that computing capacity should be based in Europe?
So actually, that's exactly what we think. We launched our Mistral compute activity a few months ago. We have our first data center that is about to be operational very soon. It's based in Brière-le-Châtel in France. We believe that it's very important that we have capacity here. There's multiple reasons for that. It allows you to actually do what you want to do. And for example, we care a lot about privacy and putting control in the hand of our customers. Having our own data centers allows us to do that this way and to provide our customers with a guarantee that their data is theirs. But it's also a question of responsibility in terms of sustainable development, for example. We also need to know that this industry consumes a lot of carbons, and we need to be responsible in where we are locating our data center. We choose France also because of the decarbonized electricity.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to turn to sort of the regulatory aspect of artificial intelligence. There's been a very heated discussion over the past, year, frankly, past couple of years, around Europe's tech regulations and specifically the Artificial Intelligence Act. And this was put in place in last mandate of Ursula von der Leyen, the president of the European Commission. But this mandate, she's already sort of looking at tweaking or slowing down. There is now what seems to be a consensus around the fact that the implementation will probably have to be slower than it was foreseen. Does Mistral have a position on whether the rollout of the AI Act has to be paused? And maybe if it's a yes or no question, should it be paused?
I would not say it should be paused, but indeed we need additional time to make sure that we implement it well. We were the first company to sign the code of practice. What we think is useful is to provide documentation and transparency to customers. They need them. So this part of the act is really important. But indeed, it's a lot of documentation, and it's uncomfortable for startups to fill all of this documentation in such a short amount of time. So indeed, we need to allow company in general, not just AI company, but also all of the users that will have to comply with part of this act, to have the proper time to understand it, to implement it, to think about it the right way, because it's quite complex.
What do you make of the argument that sort of the whole of tech regulation in Europe is holding the tech sector back? Is that something you think is truthful, or is it a lobby argument?
I think if we only focus on regulation and say, oh, the only problem of Europe is regulation, we are not looking in the right direction. There's regulation. Obviously, it's a lot of work, a lot of compliance work, but it's not the main problem in terms of European competitiveness. What we need today is more a question of how do we streamline this regulation, how do we build smarter regulation, how do we make sure that we do not have 27 versions of GDPR, because for a company it's so difficult. You know, you're done your process to be compliant with the French GDPR, and then you want to enter the German market, and you find out that you need to do things differently. So it's a question of streamlining it, making it smarter, but also making sure that it applies fairly to everybody and every stakeholders, including American companies.
To what extent is it important to think of concepts like Buy European within that framework? There's a big discussion as to whether European governments should be investing in European companies rather than international companies based in Europe.
I think there are two pieces there. We are a company that is deeply rooted in open source, and we believe that openness in technology is very important. That being said, first we need to fight with the same way that our competitors, and everybody knows that the US has the Buy American Act. The other part for that is I think we should start by leading by example, meaning that public institutions, public sectors should lead the way in this field and start by buying European solutions. The other part is for very sensitive and important sectors. I'm thinking about the defense, for example, or the health. Indeed, the question of protecting citizens' data is very important. And by choosing European company headquartered in Europe with data stored in Europe, you're protecting better what you're trying to achieve. So there's some things that can be done indeed to favor European companies. Should that be by European Act? I'm not sure. But indeed, we need to take that into consideration in the way we are organizing what we are doing in Europe, yes.
Mm-hmm. One region that maybe we're not talking enough about when we talk about artificial intelligence might be China. Europe's tech sector has what I would say is sort of an America complex. But at the same time, when we look at Mistral and we look at what you're specializing in, which is the industrial application of AI, there I think it's clear that China is also racing ahead. And the transformation of China's manufacturing, its robotic sector, et cetera, is going at a fast pace. What do you fear most, the competition coming from the US or competition coming from China?
I think when DeepSeek was releasing this first model, everybody was surprised. And I would answer to everybody who was surprised that you didn't pay attention enough. And the second thing is that if you think that what DeepSeek did was stellar, you didn't look what we did a year and a half before, because we were the first one launching open source model with very high capacity. So I think indeed it's a global race and a global competition. I think there's a place for everybody, to be honest. And I think we have very strong strengths in Europe, and we should capitalize on it.
And maybe to turn the question around, if Mistral were to identify its growth regions outside of Europe, where do you see most opportunity for growth?
We have the ambition to be a global company. We have an office in the US. We have an office in Singapore. So we are here for the entire world.
Okay. And are there regions where you're growing faster than
others?
We
are going very fast in Asia, and we have a lot of traction indeed in Asia. We are growing very fast in Europe in general. We are seeing a lot of interest in the US. We were just in Canada and expanding in Canada. So I think the question is not so much about having a European company or a US company or a Chinese company. The question is, how do you do things differently? And what we are trying to do is to bring an alternative in the AI industry, and we are building an alternative because our models are more efficient and smaller. They have high capacity. They are highly customizable. They are portable. You can deploy everywhere. If you are on AWS, you can deploy on AWS. You can deploy on Azure. We were the first one on offering deployment on-premise. So I think it's not so much a question of where it comes from. It's a question of what it can bring you as a customer. And I think what we are doing is pretty different from our competitors. So that's our positioning, and I think it resonates everywhere.
Mm-hmm. And to close off, I'd like to bring it back to Brussels, because that's where we are, and we cover the European Union very closely, obviously. Your counterpart at ASML, Frank Heemskerk, was on stage yesterday. He said it's easier for ASML to get a meeting with a senior White House official than it is to get one with a commissioner at the Berlaymont. What's Mistral's take? Is it easier in Washington or in Brussels to get
I haven't
the
asked a
attention?
meeting in Washington, so I will let you know once I will have asked that.
Okay, we'll keep you to that. And I'd like to thank you, Audrey, for joining us on stage, and please welcome me in thanking Audrey.
Thank you so much.
Am I still on? Yeah. I'd like you to stay seated. Thank you very much. And our next session will start immediately after that one. It will be moderated by Pieter Haak, Politico's senior technology reporter, who will lead an interview with Francesca Bria on tech sovereignty in Europe. Thank you very much.